ladies and gentlemen, Top Deck Muscle, episode number 9. We are back. We got royalty in the building today. We're coming to you from Sunnyside, Melbourne. We are here for the Australian Fitness Expo. Kwame, the dark cocoa's on deck, and we have perhaps the old gold, we could say.
Old gold on Top Deck.
Dr. Nicholas Jones. If you don't know who he is, this man is one of the OGs of the fitness and bodybuilding industry. This is a highly decorated man. His accolades, not only is he a multiple world champion when it comes to bodybuilding, there's the Muscle Mania world titles, there's the NABBA world titles, and there's the IFBB Mr. Universe title. Amongst that, I don't know how he fits it in, but he runs a very successful supplement company, Gen-Tec, and is a father of 3 beautiful kids. So it's quite the resume, mate. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on this show.
I'm pumped. Like, to be honest, when I saw you guys collabing on this, and to be honest, there's an energy that happens when you guys get together. It's the first time I've sat together with you guys, you know, in this situation. There is an energy about this, but I'm really pumped to be here.
Hey, wait a second. If we're going to reverse it on Oreo.
Oh, it's a, I know what you're saying. It's a vanilla Oreo.
It's the Oreo.
It's those chocolates, and then we got the dark fudge in the middle.
But in all seriousness, this guy has a wealth of knowledge. His mindset, I've learned a lot from him with even the smallest interactions. So I can't wait. I can't wait for this podcast. I'm actually pretty excited.
And for the listeners out there that are obviously on Spotify or Apple Podcasts that cannot see this man, I'm going to disclose Nick is 54, but let me assure you, he is in better shape than 99.9% of guys.
Oh, 100%. I agree. 100%.
What is in your drinking water, mate? Because I want liters of it.
You want to see it? Oh, mate.
This is all the Camino, ladies. Gente was plug. Gente, you mean you mango flour.
We will be discussing some bill.
I actually like it. I put a bit of scotch in there for you. Well, that's the secret.
So what we're going to cover today, mate, is I've got so many things that I want to ask you. So does Kwame as well. I just want to give the listeners a brief overview of our relationship. It's very personal, and it's come full circle recently. You emceed my wedding, I emceed your wedding, and we go way back. Nick was one of the first people to believe in me back in 2008. It's quite the story, but Nick got me on board Team Gen-Tec, and it's been the only and will be the only supplement company that I will be with for my lifting career. So we go way back, and mate, I'm so glad to have you on here. Kwame, you guys are obviously well connected as well throughout.
Yeah, and I actually even remember when you were with Gen-Tec like from the start as well too, which is crazy.
Like, so you came on the scene, you were about 2012, were you?
2011.
2011 was what, 2011?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been WMBF back then.
It was WMBF, that's not
very sure. Yeah, right. And to see where you've come to now, man.
Likewise, bro, likewise.
Mate, that was the same as 2008. No, it's been quite the journey. So, mate, let's talk origins.
Yes.
What got you into weight training and then the transition into bodybuilding?
It's a question I've been asked so many times, and I probably always have a different answer. As long as I can remember when I was a little boy, I always wanted to be big and muscular, really look like a superhero. And I think that's in the psyche of young boys. I asked too, was it the era of me watching cartoons? And I'm a bit of a He-Man tragic. I used to love He-Man. But I was always fascinated by muscle. I always wanted to look muscular. But really, I got serious about weight training from playing Aussie Rules.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Benny's similar too, I guess, playing AFL when I was a kid.
That's great.
I was a rover or centre, so I was around the ball a lot, and I was getting hit a lot, and I needed to be stronger for footy. So again, it was probably an excuse to get me in the gym to become big and muscular.
Wow.
You know, and the first gym I trained at was a fitness centre, Glenelg Spa and Fitness Centre at Glenelg Footy Oval.
Wow.
And there was a little gym in there, and I ended up getting a job there. But the owner of the gym, Hal Thomas, may he rest in peace. Hal was an interesting character. He had a muscle and fitness magazine. It always starts from the magazines. And on the cover was Dolph Lundgren when he played He-Man in the Masters of the Universe.
Wait, that's crazy.
Yeah, so that was when I saw that magazine. I remember Rich Gaspari was in the Weeder ads and Lee Haney was in the Weeder ads. And I thought, wow, men actually walk the planet that looked like this.
My first exposure to magazines were from the other side, the female magazines. But then I quickly worked out that to get those magazines, you need to have some muscle as well.
Yes, they both sort of went together, right? You needed, we wanted both in a healthy sort of a way for a young man.
So did you notice, like, were you lucky enough to see results pretty quickly in the early days? Was that kind of what gave you that hint of, oh, maybe I might transition out of footy into this bodybuilding thing?
Good question, Benny. No, not really, because I think I drastically overtrained. I remember going to that gym because it wasn't a bodybuilding gym, it was a fitness gym. I remember thinking the longer I trained, the more muscular and bigger I want to get. So I remember doing 4 hours at the gym one night. I remember 4 hours.
That's great.
And in between training, I'd go out to the field. It was the Glenelg Footy Oval, and I'd do a couple of laps, and I'd go in and do some more training. But I remember being there 4 hours one night.
Yeah.
And so for the first couple of years, yes, I saw results, but not like I could have because I drastically overtrained. So no, really no. But I always had a good structure for it. I always had a pretty good V taper.
But then when did you realize that this is more than a hobby? When, like, could I lock this down as a priority rather than like play footy?
My brother was a baker. God bless him. May he rest in peace. But he was a baker. One of the guys he worked with started, because Chris started training as well, similar to the time I did. But he started training with a guy that used to do a bodybuilding program. So he had a 3-day split. He was training 3 days on, 1 day off, 3 days on, 1 day off. I was still at the fitness gym, and my brother said, "You got to check out the way I'm training now. I'm doing I think it was chest, shoulders, and triceps day 1, back and biceps day 2, and legs day 3. We have a day off, then we do it all over again."
Yeah.
So I'm like, cool. And he started training at a bodybuilding gym, which was Woodlands.
Oh, yeah.
It was a pretty hardcore bodybuilding gym back there at Crossroads.
Yeah. Is that where Joel Raminta still trains?
He still trains there.
But that's interesting because a lot of us would have started off with like the brace split, this chest day, back day.
What did you start out on?
I started off like single, like let's say leg day or chest day, back day. But he was ahead already, from the start.
You understood frequency from a very young age.
Literally.
But it was too much. It was too much for me. So again, I continued to overtrain because I was training each body part twice a week. And say we used to do chest. We'd start on flat bench press, and then we'd go to a flat fly. And then we'd go incline bench press, then incline fly, then decline bench press and decline fly. 4 sets of each.
Lots of volume and frequency and intensity.
Yeah, and
I throw on the kitchen sink.
Right, yeah, and I trained like that. Even from a young age, I just had that fire in me, because, I wanted it. And I did see some results initially doing that until I was chronically overtrained and stopped getting stronger. I didn't know I was overtraining.
You didn't have the resources back then. There was no YouTube, Instagram, like you're reading magazines and that's about it.
Yeah, I'm talking 87, 88, 80.
So no disrespect, it wasn't even on internet back then.
There was no internet, absolutely no, easy. I'm talking 88, 89, I reckon I joined Woodland.
I still even remember when we used to find a lot of our knowledge from the magazine.
Oh yeah.
They're like, that was a cool,
it was a great era.
That was a sick era.
Simpler times for sure.
Actual.
Yeah.
Kwame, and I got a bodybuilding education from magazines.
Yep.
They were good.
They were good.
They were good.
I found some of my old ones the other day, like bodybuilding.
Yeah. Were you in them? Were you in
The pages weren't like Peter Nashe back there.
I did one with Dallas Olsen. Yeah, I used to also a couple of years ago, and Steve Jones. Is it?
Got the one of you and Steve Jones. The what was it? Natural bods. I've got that at home.
See, I knew Steve on the Gold Coast back in '93. I first met Steve when he was competing. Looked like Frank Zane.
He literally did. Yeah, that's crazy.
So when was the first comp then? You started at what, 16, 17 when you were training, was it?
Yeah, I was 15 when I started at the Glenelg Sparring Fitness Centre. And when did I get serious, want to lock it down? I thought about Woodlands. There was a guy that was getting ready for a contest. I was 19. He was getting ready for the SABA, which was NABA, but it was the South Australian version of NABA. They were the first bodybuilding federation in Adelaide. So I was getting ready for, he was getting ready for the SABA SA, and I saw him because he was quite fat off season, this guy. Kim Schultz, again, may he rest in peace. Kim was getting ready for this contest. And I guess what used to happen in the old days was the older guys, the bodybuilders, would see the young guys with a bit of potential. This is the era I came from. So it probably helps understand why you came on board. Yeah, Joel came on board, and you have to see these young guys with potential, as Kim saw in me. And he said to me, hey, you're going to the show next week or whatever it was. In between his dieting grumpy, I saw this focus, and he changed, this guy. I said, yeah, I'm going to go to the show and have a look. And he goes, I'll tell you what. He goes, I reckon you could mix it up with the teenagers. I want you to meet me backstage, and I'll show you the teenagers backstage. So this guy, Kim Schultz, so I was like, oh, awesome. So I went early. When I found him, he took me backstage before the show started at nighttime. Don Polsky Centre in Adelaide is where all the shows used to be. It used to be packed, 1,000 people packed to the rafters. It was different back then. It was it was so wild. So I went backstage and I see the teenagers pumping up. There was 4 of them. 3 of them were okay. One of them was outstanding. Jimmy Kabos, little Greek boy. He went and got second in the Nationals 2 weeks later, but should have won. He was good, Jimmy. So I'm looking at him, and he goes, you think you can mix it up with these guys? And I'm bullshitting. I'm like, yeah, I can mix it up with these guys. I'm bullshitting, really. And about Jimmy, I remember seeing Jimmy going, oh, he's really good. And he goes, you wait till you see them on stage. He said they look twice the size with the oil and the lights. And sure enough, I went out there, and I'm with my brother watching our first bodybuilding contest. I reckon it was the 89 or 90 SA, Sabre SA. I see these guys file on stage, and I'm like, wow, bro, they're not that big. Bro, they're not that big, bro. I'm telling you, they're not that big. And so when I saw that, I got inspired. And I did the next show, which was the Teenage Adelaide, the following 8. That's crazy.
And the rest is history, mate.
The rest is history. On the teenage.
After all you've seen and done, and now being in the position that you are, what do you think's changed most in the competing industry?
Most?
Yeah.
So much has changed.
I know we touched on the crowds. Even when I first started, the crowds were huge. My NBA styles were sellouts.
And the bar, my first contest, I was playing footy at the time, AFL. I'd been playing footy for Plimpton Bulldogs, right, in the Southern League. And all my footy mates came, got drunk at the bar because it was the way I did, mate. Best cheerleaders, the bar. This is me. Yeah, and the whole crowd was laughing. I remember being on stage and seeing what was going on. Yeah, and it was
bring it back, I say.
Yeah, that's changed. Yeah. The amount of categories has changed.
Yeah,
the social media has changed everything. As I'm a bit of a purist because I really think I look at the training and the level of intensity. I was in my heaviest competitive years when Dorian was Mr. Olympia, and the Mr. Olympia of your era dictates or influences the way you train.
True.
So I trained with extreme intensity, and that suited my personality. I've always had this passion and this.
Oh, don't worry. I trained with him. And yeah, he trains with a lot of intensity. It was supposed to be an easy session too. He's a city gym, wasn't it? I told you to, by the way, for 4 months.
Yeah, I've always trained. Yeah, not quite. But I've always trained with that. So that lack of intensity, it's a shame because I find that that's where we develop, or that's where we exercise that part of ourselves that builds resilience to life.
Yeah.
And that resilience that you build in the gym from being focused, understanding the psychology of being focused before your heavy sets, lifting a weight that part of you thinks it could crush me. If I don't stand up, I'm going to be crushed. And you need to develop that mindset to train with that sort of intensity, with that sort of load. Is it necessary, looking back at my bodybuilding career, was it necessary to squat 220 week in, week out for years and years? It wasn't necessary to develop the physique that I developed, not to that degree. I trained extremely hard. But I don't regret it, and it played a massive part in building this resilience and building the mindset and building a part of me that wasn't physical.
This is crazy. I'm gonna touch on something he said earlier, which is I honestly believe that one of the most powerful things is when someone sees potential in you. That can so whenever I see someone and they've got potential, I tell them, because that can go a longer way.
It's a great point, man.
Kwame, the weight that you carry with your words, because of the personality that you've built in this industry and this physique that you've built, Benny's the same. And I'm the same in some ways, and I never understood why. It really carries a lot of weight. When you say something good and positive or not so positive, it really affects somebody. So we kind of have this responsibility without taking it on. You have such a big influence on young people.
I think that's even, you can expand on that to not just if you see someone's potential in the gym and they're training hard, but even just sometimes asking someone, how's your day been? Or you look great today. Like that's something that I've worked on the last few years myself, was like being really, like sometimes I was shy giving a compliment because I didn't want to make someone feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
But the impact that that can have on not just someone's day, but their trajectory is like,
Huge.
it may only be a small moment for us to say, hey, you're looking fantastic. Have you been training hard? But that may really resonate with that person. They may be fighting some battles and they may go away and just and sit with that. And that could be enough to be the reason why they keep training, or they train even harder, or they set that goal into a comp. So it's for the people out there, do not underestimate the potential that you can have to shape someone's, not only their day, but their trajectory. And we don't know what's going on in their lives. So don't hesitate to give out the compliments. Don't hesitate to, when you see someone's potential, to let them know that as well.
That is true. That makes a difference.
And when you said about mindset, I actually had a question on this later on, but we've got to attack it now. Is you were speaking about how the hard training in the gym, and maybe that's something that nowadays is not as common. When we think about bodybuilding, what do you think it's taught you, and how's it crossed over to other areas in your life, be it a businessman, be it a father figure? Like, what do you think it's done to help shape you into the guy that Nick Jones is today?
How deep am I going to go with this one?
Go deep.
Bodybuilding saved me. Bodybuilding saved me. I was working in the oil and gas field 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off when I was 17. I forged my birth certificate. My girlfriend at the time, her dad was a boss up there. He wanted to get me away from his daughter, to be honest, because I was wild. I was a wild kid.
I could see you as being a wild.
I was wild. I was a wild kid, not in a good way. I got in a lot of trouble as a teen. And it was really, I grew up, to give you backstory, I grew up single parent back when it wasn't common. It was myself, my brother, who's 18 months older than me, Chris, and mum. Mum and dad split really when I was about 4. It had a much deeper impact on me than what I ever thought. It was probably more a subconscious one, but I was angry. So the violence I experienced in my life was, and for me, it was, back then there used to be fighting and violence was relatively common. So I got pretty caught up and got in a lot of trouble and was on a bad path. And it wasn't until I was 17, I just turned 18, and I was up on an assault charge. And actually, it happened to be my 4th one, believe it or not. Well, the people know I'm kind and loving, but it was just normal. And they were all juvenile charges. But this one where I was an adult going to the court for the first time as an adult, speaking to my lawyer, he thought I was going to go inside. He thought I was going to do time. I was working the oil field 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. I was a pretty fresh-faced kid with a good little physique. And I read an article on meditation in a muscle magazine from Frank Zane. Frank Zane was Mr. Olympia in the late 70s for 3 years, 77, 78, 79. The thing that impressed me about Frank Zane was he was an amazing physical specimen, right? He was Mr. Olympia. He had a degree in experimental psychology, and so he's a very intellectual man, but he was heavily into Zen Buddhism and meditation, so he's a very spiritual man. And that impressed upon me how you can be so well-rounded, but look that way and be spiritual and intelligent. And there was an article on meditation. The first time I meditated, I was 17, and it was not long before going to court for this assault charge. And it'll sound cliche, but the first time I meditated, when I opened my eyes after meditation, I went pretty deep. First time I opened my eyes, the world looked different to me. Colors were brighter, the world looked different. And I got heavily into meditation at the time. By the time I went to court, I've said to my solicitor, he said, you need to pay me before we go into court next week, because if you go inside, you're not going to pay me. And I'm like, this guy's serious. I said, no, I can't go to prison. I said, look, I'll never punch anyone again. I'll never fight again. I've started meditating. And he said to me, right? You know what he said to me? He said to me, he said to me, that's good because you'll get plenty of time to meditate in prison.
So he was convinced that
I don't know if it was worst case scenario and he was trying to scare me because I was good, Benny. I had a good heart. And he said to me, when we go to court, get as many references as you can from people with standing in the community that know you and your personality. I did that. I remember going to court and the judge read these 4 references I got from family friends that had standing in the community. They all knew that I was a good kid. I was troubled, but I was good. I had a good heart. So the judge, thank God, he read all of them. Mum was in the front row, and I'll never forget this. When it came time for judgment, he goes, please stand up. And he said, I find you guilty of assault, occasioning grievous bodily harm, and I sentence you to 12 months imprisonment. Now, I nearly pissed myself. I nearly shit myself. I nearly passed out. Mum burst into tears. She was with a friend of hers, and he's consoling her. And he waited. This judge waited for what felt like an eternity. And he said, but I will suspend it for a period of 18 months on good behavior. Don't mess up. I don't want to see you back in here. I think they knew that it was just, it's just that I was a product of my environment.
I was in commission. That's exactly what I was going to say. As you was in commission,
There was a lot of violence. There was drugs.
and it comes from normality.
Like normal, Benny.
I've had this convo with so many people. It's like your exposure to what is around you becomes normalized. And so like you look at these poor people in these countries that are getting bombed and everything, that is normal to them now.
Absolutely.
And we don't realize how good we've got it here. But
100%.
for yourself, you knew you were a good kid at heart, but maybe had some bad influences around you, and what was deemed normal in your life was perhaps, was misdirecting you. But
Yeah, and I was angry. I felt abandoned deep down. All of those things that kids feel when their father walks out. Kids feel this. And you can't, but so bodybuilding saved me from that perspective of learning meditation from a muscle magazine, being impressed by a guy like Frank Zane, and then diving deep into meditation and personal development and starting competing. So I wasn't out in nightclubs. There was no alcohol around. There was no fighting. I wasn't in that situation. I was training, eating, sleeping, getting ready for contests. So from that perspective, bodybuilding, I owe almost everything to bodybuilding, to be honest.
You say meditation. Just a quick question on that as well. Like I got like mad ADHD, so I rise to still get it out second. But did you find that actually helped you to understand yourself better and like when everything paused as well?
100%. So much. We talked about it earlier. Awareness. And again, hey, I am perfect still at 54 years of age, experiencing travel and being married to the girl of my dreams with 3 children. And I still mess up. I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect.
No.
None of us. We're flawed, right? So the meditation, yes, it helped me dramatically with everything. It helped me dramatically with everything. And I think
like sometimes I find I need time to myself, and my time to myself sometimes is the gym, right? I'm like,
it's moving.
I can't sit still to meditate. Although sometimes I'll say it's a different form of meditation. I'll lay in bed sometimes just with music with the lights off and just try and or like very calm music.
I think that's the cool thing about meditation. It's labeled as something, but really when you peel back the layers, it's just stopping and being still and freeing yourself from some excessive thoughts.
It's not complicated.
No, I've got back into jiu-jitsu again. And it's one of the only things that I can do in life, that and maybe motorbikes, that stops me from thinking so much and ruminating over my thoughts, because you're worried about getting choked. You can't think of much but exactly the task at hand. Even for me personally, the gym isn't meditation. I'm very much in my head because it's like also my profession as well. But you have to find that thing in life that is just a way for you to be still and to escape some thoughts. And I think with how life is going nowadays, we're busier than ever. Our focus is being pulled in 100 different directions each and every day. So it's really awesome to hear that you found that at such a young age, because I'm like you, Kwame. I've probably got ADHD. I find
It's we all do these days. We all
Mate, with meditation, two things happen. I either fall asleep, yes, which happened the other day.
which is fine.
I either fall asleep or I'm just like, there's a hamster in a wheel up there. Just like, so that's where for me, it's got to be either on a motorbike, maybe a mountain bike, or something that requires my immediate focus that removes a lot of thought.
Absolutely.
And for a lot of you guys, it might be the gym.
Yeah.
So find your thing.
Yeah, be present. That's the whole thing of being present, being completely present.
Yeah.
And like you say, it's very rare these days because we are distracted.
It is true.
We're distracted.
It's actually like really important, like to be present, even like when you travel or when you are at an event or when you're talking to someone.
Yes, talking to someone, man. Yep, yep, that's so true. Like, because there is so much weighing up in our minds nowadays. You're right. Even if it's just having a conversation. Often we're thinking, oh, I've got to be at this place in 15 minutes, or what am I doing for dinner? It's so true, man. Focus is the new economy nowadays. And,
Actually.
and I think we got to try and preserve it as much as we can. Mate, so when we talk about, obviously, it's pulled you from a place that was quite dark for you. And I'm sure for the listeners out there, there's some of you guys and girls maybe fighting some battles, which try and find your outlet, because it's amazing how much of a profound impact something like the gym can have. But what do you think about things like discipline and willpower and how those things have, like, because as a bodybuilder, you have to hold yourself back from eating certain foods for months on end. Like you said, you're not going out to clubs. Like it requires a lot of discipline. Now being a dad, running a successful business, like what are some other crossovers you found?
No, there's a lot. I mean, discipline, this is a thing, and there's so much on YouTube these days and social media, and even with social media, it's really important what you follow. Yeah, you start following pages with motivation, start following pages on discipline, start following pages on religion if you're religious, on spirituality if you're wanting to dive deeper here and develop yourself personally on a deeper level. Discipline, so motivation, it comes and goes. It's an old saying, it comes, you cannot rely on motivation, especially in bodybuilding or in business or in parenthood, as you know now, Benny. It's all about discipline. And it's how do you develop and cultivate self-discipline like a muscle? You need to exercise it, and it's fucking work.
Yeah.
And it's got to be daily work that you must practice discipline. There's no way around it. Discipline's hard. It's hard. End of story. It is hard because it's hard. Something that I find that's really effective when Mike Tyson, you got to love him. You're doing discipline is doing what needs to be done, even if you don't feel like it. And Tyson adds to that. He says, and doing it like you love it. Right?
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing. If you can develop that, you can conquer the world. You can do anything. Develop self-discipline and do it like you love it. You can conquer the world.
I agree, because like even with training, for all of us right now, we genuinely love it. Like if you don't train for a bit, like it starts to affect you at that word. You know what I mean? Like
mindset.
And you still train. Like when you're still pushing through pain.
Yes.
But you still love it.
Yeah.
There's just something about it.
And
it's
discipline.
not
It's not as much of a discipline for us these days.
Yeah.
As it was until you have children. And we talked about this. You're surviving on 3 or 4 hours of broken sleep as a parent, and you do not feel like training, and that's discipline now for us. Dadsley still train.
So what do you pick, recovery or training?
It's an equation. Exactly. So what do you do in that instance, mate? Like, obviously, I'm going through this now, and it's we speak about being a parent all the time, but when it comes time to like now, obviously we want to touch on some nutrition and some training philosophies of yours, but let's kind of big dive into that. Now with everything that you do and everything that's on your plate, how do you structure your days? Like, and what do you do on those days when you are feeling exhausted? Are you the sort of guy that you still go in there and something is better than nothing, or do you try and add in that extra rest day? Where's your sort of thoughts at with that?
It's changed these days, obviously. In the old days, if I wasn't fully recovered, I don't train because I'm not going to perform. So in the old days when I was hardcore bodybuilding before I was a parent, that was the motto. If you're not recovered, you do not train, because I need to go in there and overload. I need to be stronger this week than I was last.
And just disclaimer though, when Nick is saying train hard and perform, like this guy trains like an animal. So if you're out there and you've got a little bit of delayed onset muscle soreness and thinking that you should have the day off the next day, you may not need to, but you have to, like we touched on last week, when we're talking about deloads, you got to load before you think about it.
Exactly. I mean, someone might be sore in your toe and then they're going to just not train chest.
Yes.
Actually a story about that.
But 100%. But this is the thing. These days, if I only trained when I was completely recovered and well rested and could perform at 100%, I'd never train these days. I have 2 businesses. I have 3 children. There's a lot going on. I live in Sydney. It's a busy city. So a day for me is I'm not up at 4:30 now because I cancelled my 6 a.m. client. I love doing a little bit of PT. It's something that I only started gym. It'll never leave you. 18 months ago, I started, maybe 2 years ago now, I started doing some PT. So I try and do 2 clients in the morning only, 2, maybe 3 maximum. So I'm there. I get up at 5:30 now because I don't do a 6 a.m. at the moment. So I'm up at 5:30 now. I do 2 clients or 3 clients. I train myself, and then I have a shower at the gym, and I'm on the road for Gen-Tec seeing clients, or I'm doing product development, or doing marketing, or doing some social media stuff. So I'm busy with Gen-Tec till flat out. I'm doing flat out. I'm pretty intense with my work, like I am with my training, to get the result. And then come 3 or 4 o'clock, it's after school activities. I have 3 children. They're busy. My girls are 13 and 14 now. My boy's 9. Every single night there are after school extracurricular activities, from martial arts to swimming to art, tutoring, piano, singing, soccer, lots of soccer. So every night there's 3 of them. They're busy. So then we're flat out until 9, 10 p.m. and that's hot work and showers. It's a big day. So it's tough some days. So I'll sort of wrap it up at 10:30 p.m. Angie's still busy doing lunches for the next day. And
Mums are weapons.
she's a warrior, my missus. She's this Greek warrior princess on every level. The level of mothering inspires me, actually, the level that my wife goes to look at the selfless love, that self-sacrificial love.
Yes.
I see it with my wife. She's right. And it's a beautiful, amazing thing.
That's the power of gratitude, though. You like appreciating things and also showing that you are there as well. Now, what would you say would be some of your non-negotiables? Because you've talked a lot about your family. We can see like the value of like training in your life, your family, giving your family time. What would be like a non-negotiable daily?
A non-negotiable, something that I have to do.
You have to do for you.
For me, it's a really good question. Getting up and praying. I pray these days, Kwame. That's a non-negotiable. And on weekdays, I get up early enough to read at least one passage from the Bible. Generally, the New Testament. The Old Testament, it's a challenging one for me, but the New Testament, when Jesus was here and the teachings from Jesus, I get a lot from that. I actually get a lot from that. And
I've got a question for you, Nick, because that's something I haven't really delved into much with religion. I like to believe in there being, a divine energy, greater universe, and something a bit higher than us. I think you have to in life. You have to believe in something bigger. Otherwise, it would seem a little bit, what's the point? But what would you say, like for someone like myself, or the listeners out there that haven't really dipped a toe in that water, so to speak, what do you think it does, and why do you think it could be sort of beneficial? Is it like a gratitude thing? Is it
that's a big part of it. I think gratitude is a huge part of it. For me, like I said, I started meditating at 17, and it helped me develop spiritually. Religion and spiritual, and back then religion to me was very dogmatic and institutionalized and something I was never comfortable with. And I was never baptized as a child. I wasn't exposed to religion. So the spirituality really sat well with me and got me in touch with the deeper part of myself, with what I know is the source. I would have called it the God force before, the source, my source. To me, Jesus is the ultimate representation of that. So to how to delve into that, I think it's for me, it was a calling, was very much a calling. And I won't go too deep into that because it's another very long story again. But what I can say is, even at 54 years of age, someone that looks so successful, and things that we think are important, driving a Porsche, winning all of these titles, having a good physique, having a beautiful wife, having healthy children,
Yeah.
having all of these things, successful business, what appears to be money, all of these things that we think are important, you can still have all of these things and fall into depressions.
True. That's so true.
You really can. And I think the biggest thing now that I think I know I will always have is understanding that this self-sacrificial love that Jesus had for us is something that I'm eternally grateful for, and I aspire to have, because with bodybuilding, we're selfish, and we need to be selfish with bodybuilding, with this lifestyle. We need to be, and we need to do these non-negotiable things to be at our best, to give to others effectively, our family, our wives, our children. So we need to be selfish to a certain degree. Bodybuilding takes it to a whole nother level when we're getting ready for shows, and we need it. But this self-sacrificial love that Jesus had for us, if I can aspire to have that and to have grace for myself, like Jesus has it for me, God has it for us. He has this self-sacrificial love. He has this grace to love us. And always, you think about the story of the prodigal son. And I got this, listen to Guy Ritchie on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he talked about the prodigal son as, we leave ourselves in, to then return to ourselves. But it's really leaving ourselves, returning to ourselves and our source and to God. But to know that self-sacrificial love is always there, to then try and develop that for your children, for your spouse, have an understanding and acceptance of others. They're not perfect. You're not perfect.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. You're not perfect, Benny, but we're enough in our imperfectness. Yeah? And we have to know that we're enough in our imperfectness and be okay with that.
I think that's, even with this whole AI revolution we got going on, it's good that we're not perfect, because the world would be a pretty boring place. Absolutely. It would be very robotic. Good. You got to embrace your flaws in life. And like you said, mate, none of us are perfect. And I think what's really powerful about what you said is, especially with social media now, we can get caught up in viewing these people that seem to have it all, that seem to have every single box ticked, and from the outside looking in, a perfect life that we would give anything to live. But we've all got stuff going on behind the scenes. So
Benny,
I think, that's thanks for opening up about that. That's really powerful.
And I love what you said as well too about aspiring to have self-sacrificial love. That's huge, because I'm Christian, and a lot of my friends have found Christianity through, and including myself, like when I've lost my way a bit, through when I've been at my lowest points. And I find that, God's love's always there for you, and then it gives a bit of a hope factor. So people are able to cling on to that, then understand like the peace that they feel and actually understand themselves more. So sometimes that just opens up a doorway for people to actually start believing in themselves a bit more, and actually like having true peace, like actually being there and actually being able to actually like connect with their spiritual side, rather than, because there's so much worldly things, we've got like cars, we got this, we got that, but although that's nice, what about your actual self within? Like, are you in touch with your, like, how you operate on highs, how you operate on lows? How are you like a kind person? Like, like just how you actually like operate with people and around, and what are the value of relationships? Do you have it all? Like, are you grateful for the smaller things or the bigger things that you see as well too? Is gratitude.
That's the big one. Gratitude. Again, they're cliches to have an attitude of gratitude. What you focus on and what you're grateful for, you get more of.
I heard a good one. It's, you can want everything you have, or you can have everything you want. And the first one's much easier to achieve. Think about that. It's a good one. So it's, we are often exposed to all these things in life. Like, again, going back to the social media, the flashy cars and these holidays and these people living in these mansions. But sometimes you got to just focus on your own deck of cards and look within. And because otherwise, if you try and, no pun intended, keeping up with the Joneses, but you do that, if you're constantly like, there's always going to be someone out there with a bigger house. Like there's that,
Sure.
there's that old, it's a picture. It's the kid on the push bike looking at the guy in the car. And he's like, I wish I had that car. And then the guy in the calves looking at the guy in the, the boat next to him saying, I wish I had that boat.
Yeah.
And then the guy in the boat's looking at the guy with the jet. I wish I had that jet. And it's a game that you're never going to win.
And you know what? And then the guy with the jet, with all of the troubles and issues that he's got, probably looks at the guy on the bike and goes, I wish my life was that simple.
Exactly. Exactly.
Perspective, eh?
Yeah, perspective. I love where this is going.
Yeah.
Mate, back to go sort of full circle, let's get a little insight into your current training and nutrition and how maybe it's different now
Yeah.
to what it was when it was the young buck in his 20s that was like moving mountains, 220 kilo squats. How's your perspective changed? Maybe let's go training first and then we'll go on nutrition.
Yeah, sure. Training, again, training is therapy. Training's therapy for me. It's my moving meditation a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It's like brushing my teeth. I need to train. I need to brush my teeth. It's something I need to do, rain, hail, or shine. But there are days where, look, I'm busy. I finish PT at 9 a.m. I've got a meeting with Gen-Tec at 10:30. I've still got a shower. My phone rings. I've got to deal with some stuff for Gen-Tec with, whatever it might be, production issues, or, the graphic designer needs an answer on something straight away because we're going to print. Or today we had a Psych 4.0 manufactured. The labels don't fit. Not my fault, but hey, I've got to fix it. So these things happen. I'm like, shit, I've got 30 minutes. Easy to go, blow it off. I've got to train. I could do delts. And you're a classic for this too, Benny, because we've had some of the best workouts, 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, any training is good.
So you would say something is better than nothing?
Absolutely, 100%.
Because there's a lot of people out there, parents, business owners, and I hear it a lot. I don't have time to train. I don't have time to train. And so this perspective shift is great. So guys and girls out there, something is better than nothing. And even not just for the physical benefits that you'll get, but how you feel mentally afterwards.
Absolutely.
Do you find you can attack your working day with more clarity?
100%. And that's why I like training morning these days. I used to train in the evenings because I'd jack myself up with 4 meals throughout the day. I'd have a little siesta in the afternoon. I'd wake up at 4 p.m. after a 1 hour siesta, 1 hour, good 1 hour sleep. I feel like Superman at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Well, they're tip, right?
Caffeine or no caffeine?
Caffeine or no caffeine. You'll fit in well with us. Be so jacked. I'd be so jacked up on my food. I'm well rested. I used to go and tear the gym apart at 5 p.m. These days, man, I'm at the kids' soccer or at martial arts, and we're running. Ange and I are Uber driving the kids here, there, everywhere, and I've been dealing with so much stuff. My brain's fried by that time of the day. So to get a quick workout in the morning will do. The days when I do have energy and I'm recovered and I've got time, good leg workout on those days is the preference.
Yep. And what are we sort of talking structure-wise? Sets, reps? Are you old school? Are you sort of pyramiding up in weight, or what's your approach?
It's depending on how I feel, and I tried to not make it a mindset thing, but it pretty much is. If I'm feeling it, I'm going heavy. I'm just going to warm. I'll do during so I'm just going to warm up, and that first movement that I do is going to be balls to the wall.
So high
for 1 or 2 sets.
I like that.
And I'll go heavy. The days where our knees might be a little bit sore, I've got a little niggle here or there, I'll work around that. Generally, as a rule, I'll have pretty short rest in between sets. Train as hard as I possibly can during my sets, especially the last 2. So let's say a pyramid. I'll start the first. What did I do yesterday? I did legs yesterday. Probably not a good example. I had to cut it short.
We were texting, actually.
Yes, we were too.
And I said, I'll speak to you in 2 hours.
Yeah, that's right.
We did our leg session pretty quick, but that was torture.
We had an hour. I really had an hour.
We did it 45.
There's a 45 minutes.
Yeah, 45 minutes.
I mean, it sounds like you got PTSD.
Yeah, I still got.
He's like, no, it's 44 minutes, 30 seconds. There's your...
Over a year ago, even more than that.
You came good last week. All 3 legs were working fine.
Sure. Gonna dive deep down.
The tripod. We got the tripod over here.
So on those shorter days, that's where you're maybe overloading drop sets, supersets.
You got it, Benny. There's a lot of that goes on with my workouts these days. In most workouts, it's a shorter rest between sets because I don't want to be squatting 220. I don't want to be benching 3 plates aside. I don't want to be incline pressing 120-pound dumbbells for 6 reps. I would rather go to 90-pound dumbbells with short rest, training as hard as I possibly can, but the muscles are a bit pre-exhausted. So I'll overload where I can. I'll overload in volume. I'll overload in intensity. It's just, I'm 54, so I don't want to be training that heavy.
True.
I just don't want to. I don't want to hurt myself.
Some training's better than no training.
Yeah, on the sideline does help. I don't want to hurt myself. I was going to say, I'm going to reverse this a little bit. What would you say is one of the biggest reasons people fail to be able to train? I know it's situational. Everyone's got a different situation than life. But of course, when you start to stop training for a couple of days, you also build habits in the reverse, right? So it means you start getting like used to that as well too. But what would you say, just off the top of your head, is one of the reasons people fail to be able to fit their training in?
Really good point, Kwame. I think it's easy to make an excuse to not go. And the biggest thing with people with children and business, I don't have time. I think that's the biggest thing. I don't have time. If you can't find 30 minutes in your day, your lifestyle's really messed up and it's not sustainable.
Check your screen time. Check your scroll time.
Oh, big time, Benny. Big time. The amount
I think people also think they need to feel perfect before they go to the gym. Like they have to have like the best sleep,
It's great
nutrition, full fuel to go. Just go in.
Yeah,
you're right, man.
I always say just go and think of it as you're gonna go have a nice light session. Let's what.
Exactly. Just start moving. Because I'll get in days like that where I'm feeling so burnt. And I'll just start light, just go light, just go through the motions.
Yeah.
Go through the and start going through the motions. Start with that. If the guy starts to burn, go. If it doesn't, you go through the motions and you'll feel better mentally.
Sure.
Come back in the next day, you'll be recovered and you will go, you will light the fire tomorrow.
That's true.
Yeah, auto-regulation, great point. And that's something now being a dad I totally get, where you adjust your given workout on the day depending on maybe the external factors that are going on in your life. Maybe you had 3 hours sleep, maybe your workload's been through the roof. But I think what's helped me the most is knowing that when I get in there, like you said, just start moving. Some days I go in there tanked and I almost feel like it's going to be a bad session. And then things start flying up.
Yeah.
And then you end up letting the dogs out. But then conversely, like we spoke about this in the cab on the way here, that some days you can go in there, you've had your 8 hours of sleep, you're perfectly hydrated, and things just feel heavy.
Yeah.
So you do have the ability to adjust your sessions depending on how you feel. And I would encourage that. Now, in saying that, like as a little disclaimer, if you are feeling a little bit tired, get that set in your brain from the get-go, because as you go on in that session, it may improve, because you also don't want to have that kind of limitation. Exactly.
So we're a bit of a different breed from that perspective. Like we've competed and trained at a very high level. We know, we know, and we don't make excuses for ourselves, touch wood, as a general rule. So we can self-regulate. I don't know that many people can self-regulate effectively. I'm not sure.
That's sure.
And like, Kwame, what about you, man? How's your training at the moment? Because I actually haven't asked you this. Let's fire it over to you. What's your structure looking like in terms of?
So my structure is more of a lower volume of sets. And heavier. So I've been working through with numbers, trying to improve my strength. Most of my exercise, when they're big compound exercise, I work between the 6 to 8 rep range. And then if it's like a let's say like a lateral raise or something like that, which is a little bit more isolated to say, I'll probably work between the 12 to 15 rep range. So it's with that, my frequency of training is pretty high. Like I have my push days, then pull, and then I have legs and like push pull and stuff like that as well. So
you go push pull legs off, push pull. Is that your current one? Yeah.
So you train every body part twice a week?
Yeah.
Wow. That's big.
It is. Honestly, that just came because I went to the Philippines and I didn't get to train as much while I was there. So I came back and I was hungry.
Yeah, I'm writing down everything you're saying. But there's working better than what's working.
It's working better than what I'm doing too.
Honestly, it's really
Disclaimer. He's out angling us. Yeah, disclaimer. Whose buddy is too much budget?
He's 1 meter closer to the camera. And he comes to the sunset on the spat. I thought the sun was setting because you started to open up your lats.
What about you, Benny? How's your
Mate, very much like yours. Depending on where I'm at situationally, like I've started martial arts again, so I'm doing a lot of that. So my recovery is, I have to be more aware of how many sets I throw at myself. Still, same as you, man. Intensity is really high. I love that approach. The more compound the movement, I'll keep the reps slightly lower. Say dumbbell chest press, maybe 6 to 8, heavy RDLs, 8 to 10, leg presses, same sort of thing.
I think we're both leaning up on our doing mini cuts, so now we're happy.
Did actually, yeah, 2-week
It's
mini
a cover in the last podcast.
But I couldn't agree more, man. The isolated movements, like if you were to go and do a heavy lateral raise for 6 to 7 reps, personally, I just don't get much from it now. I get a lot of upper trap, but another tip for the listeners, I think if you struggle to mentally connect with a muscle group, push it a little higher in the rep range. So if you can't, you feel the chest on a press,
Good point.
rather than doing maybe 5, 6, 7, 8s, maybe try and do a 14, 15, 16, and you might think, but isn't that working endurance? As long as you are going to proximity to failure. So yeah, things like the calves, the side raises, even the arms, I just find I like that. We'll call it the pump range a little bit more. I'd say 10 to 15.
Yeah.
Do you think the same?
I'm the same. The isolation stuff and that type of muscle tissue, I think.
Yep.
If you keep it basic, I think there's white fibers and red fibers. The white fibers.
I've told people, you taught me this.
Yeah, the white fibers are the power fibers. Yeah, red fibers are the endurance fibers. It's keeping it very simple.
That's why chicken breast is more pink, like
That's
white
right.
leg, and the thigh is darker because it's got more blood flow, right?
That's right. Our pecs heavier, compound movements stimulate the pecs more. But this red fibers, the more endurance, I think it works better with a bit higher rep, The quads, the glutes, heavy, basic. Well, I got to ask, what are you squatting for 6 reps at the moment? When you said you have
I haven't been doing, no, I haven't been doing just the barbell squat, but for the hack squat, I've been doing 6 plates.
Yeah.
And then it depends as well too. So I can do 6 plates non-bended. I've done 5 plates bended from the bottom.
Gotcha.
So you're making it harder.
Gotcha.
Yeah, gotcha. So you got more tension at the top.
Yeah, makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's actually, we should have covered that in the underrated and overrated episode. Not how people normally band the hack, but you do it the other way, so it's harder at the top, where then there's normally less tension on the quad.
Yeah.
Whereas most people band it so there's less tension at the bottom.
Yeah.
Gives the patella tendons a bit of a relief.
A bit of relief. But then a lot of people do.
You're banding it and making it harder and doing 5 plates.
Yeah. That's crazy. My knees just started hurting for some reason.
I don't mind too. The only time I've seen 5 plates had the buffet.
It's good. I think a lot of people just see a lot of people bend it from the top. It does relieve your knees, but it's also a lot lighter as well too, because obviously with our quads, knee flexion, so it'll be more.
And that's it. The quads under more of the stretch and No, that's interesting. Well, I actually haven't spoken to you about your training methodology.
I think we need to train together.
Yeah, and honestly, guys, this was not pre-rehearsed, but there's 3 minds in this room, and we've all got pretty similar methodologies when it comes to that. So we've covered training. Let's touch now on.
Sorry, can I ask one more question? How often are you training each body part? Once a week, twice a week?
Mainly twice. Yeah, except my back, I'll do once. Back is for me.
Back is A to Z.
Honestly, it's a muscle group up on.
I'm actually super jealous of his back. That's what I'm saying,
man. I define us very well with it.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm trying to bring up everything else. So I'll prioritize. Sometimes it's even once every 10 days. But at the moment, I'm trying to, and I'm running into injuries, but I'm trying to do jiu-jitsu about 4 times a week and weights 5. So it's a hard split. So sometimes I'm training in the gym on my way out to jiu-jitsu, which actually is actually a pretty good warm-up. But I'm now running into some things, wrists and that sort of stuff. So I'm trying to get twice a week frequency on the muscle groups I'm trying to build up. And the back is just once, 7 to 10 days. Yeah. But if I was going full bodybuilder mode, getting ready for a show or something like that, I would probably say the ideal split for me would be something along the lines of like a push-pull legs. And then like a push and then another leg, but probably a bit more posterior focused. So you're hitting the legs twice a week, but again, just being, I guess, mindful of how much load goes through my knees. So one, I might do more the knee flexion stuff, the extensions, Bulgarians, hack squats. The other one, maybe a bit more the RDLs, the hamstrings, the glute thrusts of some sort. Not just at home, but at the gym.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a leg press. And then things like the chest and delts for me recover pretty quick and I want to improve on. And some weeks, mate, if I can fit in 3 tricep sessions, I might.
Wow.
Like I've gone to a bit more of a lower volume but more frequency type approach.
Okay.
I've just found it, especially with the roll time now on the mats with the jiu-jitsu, it's helped a bit. So, because if you're going in and one area of your body is absolutely toast, I'm thinking of more like a drip feed system throughout the week. So, but guys, there's so many different ways you can do it. You've got to trial and see what works best for you. I always think of yourself as like a pure tap. You want to take a lot in and filter out the shit and try and see what works for you. So we've got so much information at our fingertips now. We're almost overloaded with it, but try and find some reputable sources to listen to, aka Top Tech Muscle Podcast.
Absolutely.
But try not to listen to everyone because you'll be overwhelmed with the views of them. But yeah, and then go away and apply some of these principles that you've learned, and you'll know in yourself. Some you might just not like. And even if it's the most effective, if you don't like it, you're not going to stick with it. So therefore the sustainability is not going to be there. Like if you just don't like, if you are not that confident and you don't like pushing in those 5, 6, 7, 8 rep ranges, maybe it's not for you. You can still grow training from 12 to 15. So
That's one exercise I think if you don't like, you should still do it. Walking lunges.
walking lunges, we love these. We've spoken about these. Oh, chef's kiss. The walking lunge. So good. Yeah. Now, with the nutrition side of things, Nick, for those of you guys that have not had the pleasure of meeting him or seeing him, he is lean all year round. And I actually stitched Nick up a few years ago when we were here for the expo. Nick was just, you probably watched his rice for maybe 3 days, and we were training in the gym the night before the expo. Nick took off his shirt. And when I say it was like a Greek statue carved from stone, there was veins everywhere. I took a photo of him and I put it on social media and I said, good luck for Nick who's competing this weekend. That blew up.
It was the Arnold Classic. It did, yes.
This was yeah, that's right. Nick wasn't competing that weekend. He just looks like that, mate. You've got such a hard, dense, granite-like physique. How does one go about sustaining a look like
And
that?
I'm going to quickly interrupt you.
Go
For those of you that know Benny, if he is saying that, that's a huge...
Well, this is who I look up to. So
that's crazy. Not us. But that's a big compliment coming from Benny. He is literally... That's what I think of Benny.
we've got like a babushka doll going here. But you're thinking me, I'm thinking Nick. Like,
It is. I was going to say that. I was just going to say the same thing. It's like the pot calling the kettle black. He's in great shape year round.
oh, thanks, man.
But yeah, it's one of those things. I think in the old days, I used to compete at around 90 kilo with NABA, and I'd get up
On stage.
and I used to get up to about 105 in the off season. So I used to put on, 12 to 15 kilo in the off season. So it was that classic off season, build muscle, then diet for 20 weeks for the contest and do the NABA Universe or whatever show I was doing. As you get older, putting on that sort of weight and lugging around that extra 10 to 12 to 15 kilo, it's just too hard. It takes too much energy. So I like to stay leaner, not to look a certain way, just really for my energy levels and functionality on a day-to-day basis.
And you feel better?
I feel so much better, like I have more energy, Kwame.
That's so good.
And I need it chasing 3 kids around and running 2 businesses. I need that energy. So when I could blow myself up to 100 kilo. I'm only about 88 now.
But he's 88, you'd be about 170 centimeters?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
5, 6.5?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, about that.
Yeah, you are tall in the Philippines.
Yeah, it's all good. Thanks. Maybe that'll be my next holiday. I need to think of that. That's a good point.
So are you like a macro counter still, or you have done it for so many years, you know around about what you're hitting?
Yeah, exactly. I have probably 4 to 5 meals a day plus a post-workout shake. And each meal I'm shooting for around 40 to 50 grams of carbs and protein. So 40 to 50 grams of protein, 40 to 50 grams of carbs. I know around about what that looks like. I add fats. So for me, the difference with off-season, if I can say I have off-season to pre-contest, and it's been this way for a long time. Off-season, I just add more olive oil. I add more fats to my diet. So my carb and protein content is very similar. The only thing that changes sort of off-season is I push the fats up a bit, mainly through olive oil, mainly. So that's really the only difference. And then my post-workout shake, a bit more carbs in around training just through supplementation. I have a lot of carbs and aminos during the workout. Protein and a little bit of carbs post-workout. And then, my pre-workout will be, in the mornings will be oatmeal, whey protein, berries, coconut water. So it's I really, and I try and load up on that on the oatmeal first thing in the morning. But apart from that, it's moderate carbs, high protein.
So it's a balanced diet.
Really well balanced.
And I know you're a big fan of greens.
Yeah, I get veggies in every meal. Always have.
What about people that don't like veggies?
Good point, man. And
Yeah, like chocolate on the top deck.
are you a veggie guy? You like stuff?
I'm not a big veggie guy. I don't like look at veggies and I'm like, oh my God. But I know the value of them too. So I eat it because I know that there's some sort of value in the sense of like the fiber, like soluble fibers as well too.
Would you get
So,
like a
nutrients.
couple of serves a day, or
But yeah, I definitely do. I still do. Like yeah. I used to skip them as a kid, so I think this
it's very easy to do,
yeah.
and it tends to be more of a male thing. Like I run into more guys that probably are less likely to consume enough fiber.
yeah.
And for me, even as I've gotten older, sometimes now being a busy dad, I must admit I can find myself getting a little bit slack. So now I'm buying those pre-packaged mixes. So even if it's a handful on the plate of like the, it might be the kale slaw mix, or what I'm loving.
I get some of the frozen ones on.
Dude, the frozen are good, but I love kimchi and sauerkraut. They're my latest tea.
I like it.
Every lunch meal, I have kimchi or sauerkraut.
Yeah, that's good. Even I do like super greens as well on top of my veg as well to potentially get extra nutrients. If imagine there's like not enough like absorption. Obviously, my gut health isn't going to be the like best. It is good, but like I want to get as much as I can, and at the same time too.
So that's like your little security kind of.
It's my security. Yeah.
Mate, that transitions us well. Let's talk supplements. We haven't touched on that yet. Obviously, Gen-Tec, I'm very biased, but being Australian owned, operated, you've had my back since 2008. What do you think for the listeners out there? Like, what are some red flags in the supplement industry? If somebody is trying to, because quite often I hear from people, it's a race to the bottom dollar, and they're more concerned about price and quality. What do you think, like you could, I guess, some words of wisdom to people like this? Because I'm a big believer in you get what you pay for, right? And quality, you're thinking about what you're putting into your body. And sometimes the cheapest ain't the best.
Yeah.
Sometimes the full man pays twice.
That is true.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's funny, when I price my products a lot of the time, it's got to be competitive to the market, and some products we don't make much money on at all, especially wholesale proteins we're not making money on. But I still have that part of me, is that 15-year-old bodybuilder that couldn't afford. So I remember I used to use the soy protein, the Nature's Way soy protein.
Oh, yeah.
Used to be
Didn't get sensitive nipples or anything?
about no, not that I remember, but it was about $11 a tin, you know. So, but these days I think I try and make products as affordable as I can, and for me, intra-workout nutrient timing, absolutely crucial. Most nutritionists or most people that use supplements will look at a pre-workout and a post-workout. A pre-workout stim product, generally.
Everyone wants a pre-workout.
Everybody wants a pre-workout, and then everybody wants a low-carb protein post-workout because they want to keep their abs. So that's probably a pretty general rule of thumb. I think you're cutting yourself really short in doing that. For me, and it's going to flip it on its head for most people, I think the most important time to supplement is during the workout. And for me, it's carbohydrates and amino acids, and then of course creatine. But for me, those ingredients to drink during the workout, very important, especially if you haven't had a good quality balanced meal within 3 hours of your workout. If you haven't done that, you must supplement on carbs, creatine, and aminos during the workout. If you've loaded yourself on plenty of food, you probably get away with not having a lot of carbs during the workout.
Would you say, even for the female listeners, that carbs are still important during training?
Absolutely. And it's funny, selling supplements, I'm finding that more of the girls are using carbs and aminos during workouts than what the boys are. And sorry guys, but I see a lot of girls training harder than the boy thinks does.
I need to marry.
Ross, walking lunges. There's not many guys doing walking lunges, Barbie. Yeah, there's not many guys squatting and hack squatting heavy, 5 or 6 plates. There's not a lot. So I think if you want to build muscle and your workouts are lasting more than an hour and you're doing those big compounds, carbs, aminos, and creatine during the workout are such a beneficial supplement. Post-workout, I think a hydrolyzed WPI, you can't go past it. If you're trying to put size on, I'd mix it with protein. My third choice of product would be pre-workout, even though I love pre-workout. Don't get me wrong. I get a pretty good deal on this stuff. So I always use pre-intra post. I use pre-intra post. So
You got a connection.
right, I got a connection there. I get this pricing. So pre-intra post, to me, pre-intra post is pretty crucial and standard and nutrient timing wise. The supplements that we have these days do what food cannot. Because there used to be an old saying, you get everything you need from food. Generally, you just can't, like micronutrient wise too. Our soils don't have the nutrients that we really, that our bodies thrive upon. And you kind of don't, unfortunately. I wish you could. But when it comes to sports supplementation, pre-workout, intra-workout, post-workout nutrient timing, the supplements do what food cannot in and around those times.
It's a great point. Because it's sometimes I've said to people about supplements and they're like, well, why can't I just have a steak post-workout? I mean, you can, but you're probably not going to carry it in a Tupperware container in your gym bag and feel like doing that after a 2-hour leg session. Like that's where protein, it's so easy on the stomach, it's rapidly absorbed.
Yeah.
So like
Your hydrolyzed whey will start digesting within 15 minutes of drinking.
you know it's a good quality protein when you're ready to eat about 20 minutes later.
The people that say that are also the most busy people too.
Yes. A lot of the time, the busy people need the supplements because they will not make the time to waste every 3 hours.
Cook their food and like be like ahead, prep it.
That's right.
Like it's crazy.
What's your, I guess, how's your opinion changed over the years on the supplement industry? Have you seen how it's, obviously this weekend is going to be a massive event, the Aussie Fitness Expo, but have you seen it go in different directions? And do you think maybe some of these directions are not the way you would have seen it go?
I've seen it not come full circle, but I've seen it when I first started working in health food stores at 15. I was 15 when I started working in health food stores and started using supplements. I used to use the Nature's Own herbal anabolic steroids from the health food store.
Okay.
And the Swiss, like,
Were they also plant sterile based?
yeah, correct. Yeah, was ginkgo and Gotu Kola and Shizandra and all of these herbs. So I used to use that, and it was called herbal anabolic steroids by Nature's Own. That's what
You wouldn't be able to call it that nowadays. No way. You have to be able to call it like he, him, she.
Yeah, lights, let's be plant beauty, but it's Sarah. Everything's changed, not just the products, but so it was back then, and then Weeder had his anabolic mega pack, and there was a lot of snake oil when I first started. I call it snake oil because there was a lot. There was the anabolic properties of boron and gamma ferulic acid.
Yeah.
These anabolic properties of ferulic acid. So there was a lot of snake oil back then. I started really working in the industry in 93 for Masashi, for the original owner of Masashi. He was a brilliant man. Name's Tim Horwood. Tim was really brilliant. He was the first guy to do powdered amino acids. Way back in probably 83 or 84 it started. So I started working for those guys in 93. And Tim was doing some amazing stuff. So that really the supplement industry back then, there was a lot of snake oil, a lot of big claims and empty results. Tim started working with a lot of high profile athletes internationally in teams. And it wasn't until, I reckon it was 93, not long after I started with them, was the first time we got hold of creatine monohydrate. So that was back in 93. I started using creatine.
Wow.
A 300 gram jar retailed for $160.
What?
Yeah, seriously, $160 for a 300 gram jar. And it was fine style.
It wasn't from Colombia, was it?
No, it wasn't from Colombia. No, it was fine style creatine was the best one back then, before Creapure was even around.
And honestly, when you take it, not that I'm some economist, but where you take into account inflation and stuff now, that's probably worth 260.
Yeah, it wasn't so much a commodity.
You had a pile of sauce back then for $2.
Right. Yeah, that's right. So it was really expensive when it first came out. And I reckon Masashi were the first ones to do it. So Tim sold to Nestle in 2006, but to work with him and to be involved with that and, I got an education out of muscle magazines and out of amino acid books. And
Okay.
I still read a lot of books on nutrition. So I was probably a really interesting date at the time because all I was talking about just was amino acids and supplementation and protein intake. But so I saw it as being, there was a lot of snake oil with the supplement industry back then. And then Tim started doing some top work with even Dorian Yates back then. we used to supply him free-form amino acids, and Dorian, I'm sure he'll attest to this. And then Tim did work with the New York Giants, with the Chicago Bulls. He traveled the world.
This is an Australian guy.
Australian guy, yeah, brilliant guy. So he was using these powdered amino acids, because these flavored aminos that we see now, we take them for granted. They didn't really, it wasn't really until the late 90s that the free-form flavored amino acids started becoming popular. He was nearly 20 years ahead of the game.
Wow.
And the amino formulas tasted horrendous.
Where does he try pure leucine? Have you tried that?
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible. There's a lot of arginine, pure arginine, not leakage. There's horrendous tasting aminos, but I used to be able to have access to the 22 amino acids because Masashi made them for naturopaths. So I used to do different combinations depending on what I was reading and the research back then. Yeah, I used to get some phenomenal results. Phenomenal.
So you started literally mixing up combinations yourself based on what you'd read and researched.
To call his answers, right? So
Which is really what Tim did, because Tim's the Masashi, he'd be a fascinating guy to get on your podcast, Tim Orwood. He had five formulas based on Chinese medicine. So Chen the arousal, the green formula with Masashi, was arginine, methionine, and glycine. Now, these are the 3 amino acids our body uses to synthesize creatine in the liver. We make our own creatine, obviously, from arginine, methionine, glycine. That was his pre-workout. Chen the arousal, it was called. Ni the nourishment was the 3 branch chains, which you'd use post-workout.
Right.
Way ahead of the curve. Like this small beginners thing. A couple of decades ahead of the curve. So I saw supplementation being used by elite athletes. People didn't know what they were using. Being used by elite athletes, getting phenomenal results from this amino acid timing to the use of creatine monohydrate. Back in the 90s, early 90s, I started seeing it. So we really started getting some clout through high-profile athletes that would sort of tell people what they was doing.
Was like drug testing a thing back then? Because sometimes, like I remember when I started bodybuilding and I was telling mom that I was having a protein powder, and then when I tried to tell her I was having creatine, like she looks shocked at me. This white powder, are you sure? Like, is that a steroid? It's like, are you taking steroids?
Absolutely.
So was there like a WADA back then, or like?
No, I mean, there was drug testing. There was IOC drug testing, absolutely, but there was no HASTA approved for clean supplements. You just, I guess, the athletes had to know that it was an amino acid.
So they would basically be told by a coach if they had one.
Correct.
Okay.
By a nutritionist, by a coach, by the owner of the company, but generally coaches. And so that's why Tim traveled a lot back then, went to the US. He went to Bulgaria and went to the Olympic weightlifting.
oh wow.
And it was like, he said, it was more like a hospital with a gym attached to it.
Wow.
A gym. Yeah, he said it was amazing, the Bulgaria. Yeah, so it was, so the access, the information I got, there was a Dr. Tony Fitton. He was like, he was a powerlifting doctor, and he knew a lot about anabolics back then when it was, again, it was very, it's so strange now. PEDs is such a softened term for anabolic steroids. So anabolic steroids back then was like, you may as well have been a heroin addict if you were going to take anabolic steroids back then. These days, everyone's talking about PEDs left, right, and center on social media.
Yeah, you're right. It's a gentler term, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
The term, that like it's so changed so much. So there's something in the industry to see the changes, and the changes have really accelerated. So it went from sort of snake oil to getting a lot of clout with creatine and amino acid use.
We want it now, like monsters are taking creatine.
Yeah, so it went from that to then it got a bit snake oily again with a lot of, and I don't know if I can say American companies that were, was like confectionery style product with some actives thrown in because, and it was the use of caffeine was a big one. Caffeine, the workers didn't really start, I think No Explode was one of the first back in the 90s with DSS and Uriah, so which well, you had a relationship with those guys. So that was, I saw the introduction of the pre-workout and then the use of caffeine. Caffeine used to be used in some multivitamins and so forth out of the US because people would feel, these multis are good. Geez, energy, right? So their caffeine used to be snuck into supplements. So there was a bit of a shift back a bit towards snake oil. Yeah, rightly so, like confectionery style products with just a small amount of actives and a shitload of caffeine.
I think that was very big with like fat burners.
Yeah.
And like
pre-workouts.
and pre-workouts. That's right. Because like people would like, have caffeine and they'll get dehydrated and they're like, whoa, I'm losing weight. Yeah.
And that was around the era of proprietary blends. And then there was the trend of fully disclosed labels where they would have to list, 5 grams of creatine, 3 grams of arginine or whatever. And that kind of had an impact on the industry that it kind of, like we talked about, the industry, it's like a pendulum.
Yeah,
Swings. And then it kind of came back to this, I guess, a bit more of an honest and quality was pushed
People do the
forward.
research.
Yes, so
They've got consumers where to research. So they got AI.
Yes, so it's sort of, I feel like it's come back full circle. And I've got to say, Gen-Tec, we've had a really, last calendar year was phenomenal for us. The previous one was terrible. Since COVID was really difficult in business, in every industry. But I've got this feeling that people are coming back towards quality. They really are coming back towards quality. We've always disclosed the amount of each ingredient in all of our products. We didn't have to. We never did proprietary blends, but I'd always, on the nutritional information panel, I'd always put all the ingredients and how much was in each serve. We just did that because I think it's important for the consumer to know.
Were you ever, just on that, mate, sorry to cut you off, were you ever concerned of competitors then copying formulas?
Yes and no, because it happened a lot with thermofuel, the liquid thermofuel.
Yes.
That product's probably been copied about 6 times by different companies in the same bottle.
And in the same
bottle, there was some one was called thermal fuel. No. Yeah, I'm serious.
What are these guys?
Out of Melbourne, the Wild West in Melbourne, let me tell you, back in the day. It was,
Oh my God.
West. So yeah,
They're more.
Well, you guys that don't know thermofuel, it's the most distinct looking product. I put it on my story before. It looks like 2-stroke oil that you mix with your lawnmower.
Exactly.
You guys have seen it before. It is that unique. So
that's right. So it's, was I ever worried about? Initially, I think I was, but once I saw it happen and experienced what happened, even another one's the casein custard. We were the first ones to do casein as a custard. Some 14 years ago, I did that. It was after about 6 years when other companies thought, what a good idea, and it's obviously selling. They started doing the same sort of thing. Now, after 14 years and there being so many brands of custard, we're the one that sells again, kind of like Coke. Like when you're the original at something, you might lose a bit of market share. But the good thing is the companies that copied it marketed it really well. So all these consumers got exposure for the category. Yeah. So we get exposure. Yeah, we lose a bit of sales initially, but long term, it's great.
that's interesting, huh?
And it's, so it doesn't worry me, Benny. It really doesn't worry me when someone copies my product. Yeah. It does not worry me at all. I don't look at the competition much. And it's probably an old saying is you focus on your game. Yeah. You focus on your game and you keep moving forward. Yeah. And there's always new ingredients for me to look at. Like our Psych, our pre-workout, it's the 5th version that's coming in a couple of weeks because there's new ingredients that become available and you look at them, that's a bit hypey, nut, that doesn't look, and then you get some others and I'll try the ingredients. I still do that, feel them, look at the research behind them, try them. I've added a couple of new ingredients to Psych. Yeah, always improving, evolving as we do.
I like what you said there, where you said you don't worry too much on the competitors. A good quote is just winners focus on winning, losers focus on winners.
Sure.
It's like there's that iconic photo. There's a swimmer that's out in front and the guy in second's like the guy winning.
Yeah.
Because sometimes if you don't stay
and he's looking at who's third, he's looking at guy.
Yeah, mate, this has been absolutely awesome. We do have, we could keep going, guys. I feel like we're going to run out of camera memory.
I just think we need another episode.
We do
have to do another one.
We'll see if it's popular. If it's popular and the good people, the beautiful people that follow Topic, if they want more, I'm up for it.
We do have some rapid fire questions.
Oh, yes.
So what do you reckon, Kwame? We pump through these as well? Yes. We got to. I can't finish it on this note. I think we got to go through these. So, mate, here's some we prepared earlier. Me go, you go. You go. Simple. Okay. If you had to pick just 3 supplements for someone to take, what are you going with?
Creatine, intra-workout.
So like BCAAs?
Carbs aminos.
Okay,
Carbs aminos.
P2P.
And then, P2P and hydrolyzed WPI.
Boom.
What's one thing in the fitness industry that you think is overrated right now?
Influencer, being an influencer.
Yeah.
Yes. You're very influential, though. You're the best one.
You are smart.
Yeah. Not you, everyone.
And your content, but your content has value, Kwan.
Yeah.
You're the real deal. Yeah. You're the authentic. He's the real deal.
He's the long black.
He's the long black.
What's one habit that's had the biggest impact on your results of your life?
Counting down 3, 2, 1, take action. When I've not felt motivated, Bill Robbins. That did once. Yeah, when I've not felt motivated to get off the couch to do, even for business, for work, when I know I've got to do something, 3, 2, 1, do it.
That's good. Yeah, I have tried that. Have you tried that before?
No, I actually get it.
Basically, if you're thinking about something, start counting down from 3, and when it hits 0, you got to act on it.
You got to get up and.
So it's like if you trying to do a cold shower, rather than sitting there and go, oh, I don't know. You go 3, 2, 1,
and then do it. I gotta try that now. Okay.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, action. What's one thing? What's one thing that you used to strongly believe in fitness, but you've had a complete change of mind?
Pass. I don't know. What did I ever I never strongly believe in.
I got one for you.
What
I actually remember overtraining.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, that's the thing that I did think of was volume. Was training. The more I trained, the better the result.
Yeah.
Stimulate, not annihilate.
Yeah, Lee Haney.
Oh, there you go.
One more for number 1.
If you could sit down with your 20-year-old self, what would you tell him?
Everything's going to work out.
Ooh, I like it.
What's one thing that you think a lot of people should take more seriously when it comes to your health?
Nutrition.
Boom.
We just voice it, but we did it. Yeah. Yeah. Snap. What does success look like to you now compared to when you were younger?
Being the best influence and the most loving influence on my children.
Love it.
And what are you trying to still get better at today?
That being a better dad, it's hard to navigate and negotiate. To be a better dad, to be a better husband. They're the most worthwhile, most challenging, and most rewarding things in my life.
I think it's good just to add on to that, to self-reflect in life. And if you have that sort of mindset of, how can I just be a little bit better each day? Be it at your job, be it at the gym, be it being a parent, be it partner. If you have that mindset, it's amazing what the compounding results are. You know, it's the little things certainly do add up. Was there ever a point where chasing your dream physique actually cost you something important in life?
Absolutely. I was chasing the Nabba Mr. Universe. It cost me my health, mental health and physical health.
That was when you got chronic fatigue?
Correct.
Yes. We didn't touch on that today, but how long did that last? You were proper bedridden, weren't you?
Yeah, 12 months. I didn't work for 12 months.
I think it was in that way.
16 to 20 hours a day.
And that's when you came back and won Muscle Mania after that.
Yeah, drug-free.
That's great.
Wow.
2006, Muscle Mania.
That's insane.
Wow. Nick Jones, ladies and gentlemen, what an episode. Man, it has been an absolute pleasure.
Likewise, boys. Pleasure for me, truly.
My brain is gone. I think we're probably going to continue this chat afterwards. But, mate, we just want to thank you for coming on and we appreciate your time. Where can the listeners find you?
Instagram, Nick Jones World Champion, but certainly Gen-Tec Nutrition. I'm probably more active on there than my personal page.
There's a lot of informative information there, as well as like mindsets. Like I look at the page and I'm like, I'm learning a lot as well too. So you can definitely find more.
Yeah, the thing I love most about that episode is we went down some really powerful avenues. Spirituality, you know, being a father figure, how bodybuilding saved you. And I think for a lot of the listeners and viewers out there, there's plenty you can take away from this, even if you're not, you know, a bodybuilder, or even if you're not that experienced in the gym scene, there's just absolute value. So guys and girls, if you think someone else would get some value from this, don't forget to like, subscribe. If you can share it around, would absolutely love it. This is number 9 as a wrap up. We'll catch you on the flip side when we're back in the big smoke of Adelaide for episode number 10. Until next time,
So good, boys.
stay chocolatey.
Stay chocolatey. I like that. I like it. We'll see you guys.